Hello Reborners, my name is Karen and this is Making Dolls with Karen. We're back with Canon. I wanted to be ready for his layers to start when we came back, but we're not because I was unable to crease him because his sealer was too slick. I put the bumpier sealer on him so now he can be, I put the bumpier sealer on him so now he can be creased. Plus, his hands are unevenly pink. I want to brush that up a little and get it a little more close to the color I really want. His feet look fabulous, but his hands not so much. So we're going to put a little bit more on his hands. I just want them to be a little closer to the color that I really want them to be. And that's already closer right there. Making dolls is a process you can't really hurry. If you hurry it, you're going to be sorry when you're finished with the doll. You have to take however many different steps it's going to take to get it done. And sometimes that's just a lot of steps. Don't forget the sides of the fingers when you're doing these paint jobs on the fingers. I'm going to try to dry this with the heat gun because of the fact that I need to crease him, and he's too wet to crease with this. This paint is not dry enough to be doing a good job that I want to do on my doll with dry painting. The drier the paint, the better the job you'll do. I'm going to hit this a little bit with this heat gun. It's a little noisy, but it does work. It'll dry the paint, and then you won't have to worry about when you're creasing it that you're rubbing off the paint. It doesn't have to be super dry, and it certainly won't be cured, but it will be drier, enough dry where you can actually do the next thing. I just got this heat gun. I've only had it for one other doll, which was Jenny, which I just completed. And I used it on her quite a lot, and it was very, very beneficial. You can always tell that it's getting dry because it starts to get a little bit lighter. Keep it hung up. I have a little basket up here on the wall that I keep pacifiers in, and I hang it on the side of that basket because it actually, holds it pretty good. This hand's not as bad, but I do want to add a little color to it. It's just not colored the way I want it to be. I just want it to be a little darker, that's all. There's barely any paint in these brushes left. I'm going to have to dip them again, and it'll be okay. I'll dip them tonight, and before I need to use them again, hopefully they'll be drier. These will be drier that I have over here in this thing. I started dipping a second set because they don't get dry fast enough for me. I'm constantly making a doll, constantly. If I've finished a doll, I'm starting another one right away. And sometimes before I'm even finished, I've already started another doll. And now that he's got this rougher sealer on, I can also give him some veins. I was unable to give him any veins because he was just too slick. I'm going to give him, I usually give them one on their arm. I just make a vein. You can make it wavy, curly, and then I wipe it because we don't want to see it that good. And now you probably can't even see it at all. That's the way it should be. It looks like it's under the skin. That's where it should be, under the skin. Put one on this one. You can just make however many branches on it you want. No branches at all. You know, multifaceted, any way you want to. I just really like to put veining on the doll because it makes him have a little bit more realism. And since he is now rougher, it's taking very well. I just want to put one vein on each limb so that whoever gets the doll will see the vein and go, oh, my baby has veins. You know, just, it's something that people like and they want to see it. Also, I'm going to renew the vein on his head slightly, just slightly. No, I don't think I will. I can still see it. I'm not going to. And I see his capillaries still too. They survived the sealer, so that's good. I'm not going to reseal them again after this because, well, hopefully, oh, that is not the color I want. I want this one. This is called henna. It's not really the color I want, but it's the closest one that I have on hand, so I use it. It's a brownish red color, and it's kind of however much you want it to show, that's how much you have to press down. We don't want it really bold, but we do want to see it. I like to do these little finger creases. They seem to still be a little bit stubborn about taking. I'll show you the hand when I'm finished creasing the whole thing. Right here where their fingers are curled up, you got to crease that too. Otherwise it just looks like, I don't know, it doesn't look real. Henna is a good color. It's just not spot on the one I want. It's the best one that I have, so I use it. But I'd like it to be a little tiny bit less red and a little more toward the brown. And I'm not pressing down real hard because I don't want really dark creases. I just want some creases. And pencil usually holds up pretty good. Especially if you don't like the creases, they're going to stay forever. You're never going to get them off. But if you like them, they may not stay. Pencil usually does hold up though. And I usually take my little magic brush here and I brush them a little so they don't look so starkly like pencil lines. Just put a little slight brush over them. It sort of feathers them out a little bit or something. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but this is the hand that doesn't have any creases. And this hand does have creases. I don't know if there's enough light or the hand's being held at the correct angle or anything for you to be able to see any difference at all. But there actually is a difference. Now I'm going to crease some of her other lines. Very, very lightly. I don't like dark creases on my doll. Whenever you have dark creases, they tend to snowball on you, which means the paint will stick to them like glue or something. Now, if they have cute little elbow creases, you want to do those as well, but you want to do them very superficially, like I'm doing. You're barely going to see them, but they add something when the paint goes on. There we go. I don't do very much creasing on the face. Hardly ever do I crease the face. Now on the feet, I'm going to crease underneath the toes. These little lines on the back of the toes. Not every crease is going to make it to the end. So keep that in mind when you're doing your creases. A lot of them will though. We want to crease only the part of the foot that looks the best creased. I don't crease down by the heel because it's just too much. I only crease the top half of the foot. You can brush these pretty hard. See how hard I'm brushing them, and they're not going away. They're just minimizing slightly. Makes the bottom of the foot look real cute. Now we're going to do the top of the foot. I'm going to put a little division between the toes if it'll take it. He didn't get much sealer evidently on his toes because it's not taking pencil very well. I did put sealer all over him, but he was very waxy feeling with that other sealer. Rougher sealers are better for painting on and penciling on. And then it looks like this after it's creased, and when you put paint over it, it's going to look even better. It's going to blend into the background a little more, and it's going to look. I'm only doing the big creases. I'm not going to do all these tiny creases on the foot. It just looks too messy when you do that. Just so long as they have some creases, that's really all that really matters. It doesn't matter if every single crease is done. Some of the creases you want to do, some of them you're going, I'm not doing that crease. It's just strictly up to you. Paint will diminish these some. It may even take some of them completely away. Now this foot, we're going to do it the same way on the bottom. I'm going to put a little line underneath the toes. If I can get to it. Some of them you can't get to because of the angle of the toe, but you just do the best you can on the creases. Some people paint on their creases. I used to, but it's murder. It's just murder painting on creases because most of them do not survive the very next coat of paint. Almost every single one will not survive. Pencil is mostly going to survive. Some of it does not, but, oh wait a minute, I want to do a few little creases on the leg too. I do these really, really light, very superficially, because like I said, I don't want really dark creases. I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff. Just like when I do modeling, I do it very light too, very, very superficially, because it takes away from the aesthetics of the doll. They're supposed to be pretty. We want them to look good, not bad. So, now, my hands are the favorite. Hands are the favorite that I have for creasing. I love to crease the hands because it makes them so cute. When you can see those little lines that look like the little bends in their fingers have definition to them, it's just really cute. And it adds another little touch of realism that you don't get if you don't do it. And also on the front of the fingers, I like to do these little lines on the fingers. You don't have to do every single one of them, just the bigger ones. And on the thumb as well. We want to crease that little part right there in between the thumb and the fingers. And we're going to brush all these. I get crooked a lot with my creases, and sometimes they're not even in the line. But when you brush them a lot like this, it kind of diminishes the fact that, I mean, you don't see as well that they're not in the lines. And they don't look as much like a pencil line as they do if you don't brush them. Just a dry brush. It also helps to consider where these creases are on the doll. These are likely not ever going to show because once it's up against the cloth body like that, it's the underarm. You're not even going to see it. But, you know, realism. Okay, that's got the creases. That's, in a nutshell, the creases. So I want to... see, we could crease this line under his chin down here if we want to. We don't have to, we can. And this little deep dimple under his lip, I should have probably put some purple there, but I didn't. It kind of backfired on me on one doll. The purple was too dark and I didn't like it. Anyway, even though I just creased him, I'm going to let his arms and legs sit for a minute while we work on his head. We are going to put some layers on him. I'm going to start with the 05. That is the skin layer. It comes in numbers. It's called Flesh 05. They start with 8 being the lightest color. And it's pink almost. It's so light. And then it goes down to, of course, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. I've never seen a 1. I don't know if there is one, but I've never seen one. But these colors gradually get darker, but from 8 to 2 is a drastic difference. I started with 8, and I started making dolls, and I thought they were just too pale, and I just could not like them that way. And so I went down to 7, and then 6, and then 5, and 5 gives me a decent looking skin color. It looks very dark, I know, but the thing is, it's not that dark on the doll. It's deceptively dark in the jar. Anyway, 05 gives me the best skin color so far. I thought 04 was too dark. I even tried it, but I thought it was too dark. So it went back to 5. I'm going to use the brush to put it on his eyelids, because there are certain spots on a doll that you may get it on there with a sponge and you may not. We never do the skin layers with dry brushing because it doesn't work. You'd have to have 1,000 brushes for one thing, and it would just be too time consuming. And plus, if you don't paint a little, you're not really painting a doll, are you? Okay. Now that I've gotten all the parts that I think that the sponge couldn't reach, I'm going to sponge him. And I'm going to sponge over the parts that I just painted too, because we want to get every part that we can sponged, because the sponge leaves a different texture on your doll than a brush does. When I was brushing my dolls, there was this fad going around that you brush the paint on with a paintbrush and then you kabuki it off. And I never saw so many brush marks on a doll in my life than when I was doing that. So I went back to my trusty little sponge, because it's the best way to paint your doll. And all sponges are not created equal. These really soft, spongy sponges are the ones you want. This is a dirty sponge, I know, but it's dry. And I'm trying to get the excess off of him so it won't leave any streaks or rashy looking stuff. If you just put the paint on, it usually leaves a very rashy, oh, don't touch the jar with the baby's head. It usually leaves a very rashy look on the doll, like they have some sort of skin irritation or something, and we don't want that on our baby. We want pretty, smooth, flawless looking skin. And yes, he looks dark, but as he dries, he's going to look less dark. Now, there is another kind of sponge you can get. This is it. It's real hard and foamy, and it's kind of like these teardrop ones. If you wear makeup, you know what I'm talking about. They're very dense and very, they're not good for painting, but they're okay for pouncing the paint off of your doll. The too much paint, the excess. And don't worry, you're not going to take too much off. If you do, you just paint it again. We're going to put 2 coats on him of this color. But I'm going to set him down right now and let him start drying, because we want him to be completely dry when we put the second coat on him. Because we're not going to bake in between. We're just going to we're going to do what I call stacking the layers. Sit up, Canon. There we go. Okay. Now, even though we've put colors all over him, we're going to put this color all over him too. We're going to put it on his hands and his feet and everywhere we've colored already. We're still going to put it there. And we are also putting it on the creases we just made. So if it comes off, if the creases come off, that's why. Because we just made them. And there are going to be some creases that do come off and some that don't. Most of them might come off, I don't know. I've put creases on before and you couldn't even try to get them off with any paint thinner. And I've put them on before and they came right off. So it's a gamble when you do it like this. I wanted to crease him before I gave him second seal, but I couldn't because he was too slick. And my new policy is use the rougher sealer first. On second seal, you can use the smoother sealer because you're finished writing on your doll. But anyway, if they come off, I'll just reapply them. That's my policy anyway. It doesn't take very long to crease a doll. You can do it as your very last step. And after 24 hours, the pencil is considered cured, as much as it would cure when you bake it. And you don't have to worry about, yeah, if you scrubbed it with a Brillo pad or something, it's gonna come off. But if you just normally handle your doll and stuff, it won't come off. It'll stay on. And I see it's coming off of the toes and stuff. That's okay, I will reapply it at the end. But you saw me do it, so now you know how to do it. It's just the timing that you have to get right. If you can get all of your enhancements in one go, then you can get, or two even if you have to do it twice, then you can seal them down with the second seal. But if you didn't put the right kind of sealer on the first time, then you're going to be in the same boat I was in, and it's not gonna write very good on your doll. In fact, it may not write on them at all, and you may end up with my problem. And a lot of the pencil did come off. I can see that, but the important thing is you got to see how to do that. You got to see the procedure of doing the creases with a pencil, and just try to do it before you do the second seal. I saw something on one of them fingers, that one. What is that on that finger? I don't know, but it came off. Anyway, it can be done the very, very last step, the very last one. I need to dip these brushes, that's why they're still out. I depleted them of their paint when I was doing his enhancements, so they're gonna have to be dipped. And I just haven't gotten around to doing it. I should have done it right away, but the longer you give them to dry, the better they're going to work for you when you want to dry brush again. I only ever do it on enhancements, even if it's a late in the game enhancement, but these layers, it almost has to be wet paint. There's just no way around it. I suggest if you want to use pencils in your reborning process, that you think about what you want to use them for, and you get a variety of pencils in the color line that you're looking for. That's what I did. I got several different bluish green colors, because that's the vein blue is sort of a teal color. And so I got some teal colored looking ones. But I went for some light colors too, and well, the very lightest pencil I got was the one that I used, because I just think the others are too dark. Just depends on how dark you want to make them, how bold you want them to look, all that kind of stuff. And it does matter what pencil you use. It matters how sharp it is. It matters how much you press down. All that matters to make good pencil lines on your doll. It's not just something you don't act like you're writing with a pencil. You act like you're trying not to write with a pencil, really. Anyway, that's pretty much got him painted. I'm going to hit him with the hot gun now, the heat gun. to get him completely dry. His head looks like it's almost completely dry. And but I want him completely dry, because if he's not, the next layer of paint will just pull off some of this layer and he won't even look like he's been painted twice. So here we go. This gets rather hot. This one does not have any way to change the heat setting. It just gets hotter and hotter. So you have to keep it a good ways away from your doll, and you have to move it around or your doll will get too hot. Here we go. This takes a little while, and the vinyl does start to get hot. He's just warm because, you know, I'm doing it all around his whole head. But you'll know that you're finished when they don't look shiny anymore and the paint starts to look a little paler. They start, with the first coat of 05, he's going to look like he doesn't even have paint on him. So when you get to that point and they don't look shiny anymore, then you know you've done it enough. I think that's enough for his head. His vinyl still isn't hot, it's just warm. But he does look totally dry, and he doesn't feel wet, and he doesn't look shiny. See, his arms and legs still look a little shiny because they're still a little wet. And we're just gonna hit them too. this in no way is a substitute for baking. We still have to bake him, but it's just making him drier a little bit quicker than having a whole bake before you put the second layer on. And it's very instrumental in, like when you want to make a baby scratch or something, every layer of that baby scratch needs to be dry before you apply the next layer. So it's very, very good for that. I watched another artist using a heat gun. That's why I got one, because it just looked like it was such a good help, and it is a good help. It ensures that your doll is going to be dry enough for their second coat now, and we do not want to do it and put another different color on the doll. We want to use the same color in 2 layers. That's the whole idea, is to get this layer dark enough so that when we apply the other layers, it's dark enough underneath. So he's going to get 2 layers of 05. And it's better than 1 layer of super dark. The darker and thicker the paint is, the more chalky it looks on the doll, and it just doesn't look good. And so we're going to give him 2 thin layers. We make our paint very thin for a reason. It's almost all paint thinner, really. And as the paint thinner evaporates off, or you dry it with a dryer or something, or you pounce some of it off, the paint stays behind and colors the doll. We are taking some paint off or this wouldn't be turning brown, but believe me, enough is staying on there. Excess paint just makes them look bad. Sometimes they look overdone, like they have makeup on, or sometimes they look splotchy, like you couldn't put the paint on right or something. But too much paint is not good. So the tiny bit of paint that we leave behind is just spot on right. We're not going to blow him dry this time because there's no need. He's going to get a full bake and cure both layers at the same time. A lot of artists who do washes, and that's much thinner paint than this even, they'll do 40 to 50 washes on their doll, and they do 4 or 5 layers before they do any bake. And I just don't see how they don't just have a Christmas tree doll, you know, just every color in the rainbow and lights, like the lights on a tree or something. Anyway, that's pounced him good. We'll just let him sit here and dry, and we'll start on his arms and legs. And when I get finished with this, we're going to touch up his nails and his lips. Sit up, Canon, come on. Sit up. When you're holding the rim, sometimes you bend it a little bit, and then they won't sit good. And his rags and his head are just a little uneven anyway, so I'm just going to put this jar of paint behind him so he'll sit there. I noticed that some of the creases did survive the paint layer that I put on, but they won't survive every layer probably. And I'll just do them over at the end, if I decide to do them over at all. Only partially a fan of creases anyway. We're just going to pounce this layer on just like we did the other one, making sure we get every spot covered. If you can't get in these little crevices behind the knee, then you need to kind of push it open a little, but usually if you just turn your sponge the right way, it'll go right in there, usually, unless they have a super deep knee bend. They actually made a doll that looked like it had its legs drawn up like a real newborn baby does. Very, very drawn up. You know, I didn't like that doll very much because, you know, they were permanently drawn up like that, and they looked like they didn't have any legs, almost. Sometimes you get a doll that has one straight leg and one bent leg. That looks a little funny too. I think Ashley has it, and well, Aspen or Leaf has one that's almost straight. It's not quite straight. I think it's Aspen. They're over here, Aspen and Leaf. They're twins. little preemie twins, and they're over here on this other drying rack I have over on this table, waiting to be painted. Oh yeah, don't lay your parts on the table, put them on your drying rack. After 2 layers of this, you have to give them a bake. You can't move to the next color. I think I already said that. You can't move to the next color because it's a different color, and it's going to mess up this color. So we need to get this cured and locked in before we put the next color on. They all blend together in a way on top of each other. Layers cause depth, make depth in your doll and make them look more real. Otherwise, you could just mix up some final color that would represent what the doll should look like at the end, but it would look very flat. I've seen some flatly painted dolls where they, I don't know, it's mostly darker skin dolls where they just piled on lots of dark layers and didn't try to put any depth into the skin. And that's what all these things that we've been doing in the enhancements is supposed to do. Add depth. It's the undertones. You see them through the paint, but you don't see them all that good. They're just there for the illusion that this is a real baby. Illusions is what it's about. If you're confused about mixing paint, I have a couple of videos that show how to mix paint. I have some that show how to do just about everything you want to know how to do. This is pretty much a tutorial on painting. And I've made so many tutorials on mix and paint that I have jars and jars of mixed up paint that I need to use, and no more jars to mix in. So I can't really do any more tutorials on mixing paint right now because, well, I have too much mixed. There's jars everywhere. There's a pile over here, there's a pile up there on that shelf, and there's a pile on the table that I'm using. But I have plenty of videos on how to do it in my long, long list of videos. I think I have 600 and something videos, I don't know. But you scroll down through them and they're one how to set up your table, one tells how much, all the things you need, just a lot of different things like that. And every video has a little piece of something in it that you probably need to know about. As I figure something out and do it, I'm telling about it. And it might be the only important piece of information in that whole video segment of making that one doll. But I have followers who actually can't wait for a video to go up. They just jump at it almost as soon. And if I'm not making one for a few days, they're going, "Are you sick or something? What's wrong?" You know. And other people just watch one segment. And I don't know. I don't know why it's this way. They'll watch maybe segment 1 and segment 4. They won't watch every segment, but they're missing part of the process when you don't watch the whole video. And I might throw in some little tidbit that you didn't get to hear because you didn't watch all the videos and all the way to the end. People go, yeah, let's stop it now and go to the next one, you know. And they have a right to do that, but I'm just saying, you're missing out. On tutorials, I do the whole doll from start to finish. You see everything I'm doing. Well, you do anyway in all of mine, but I explain a little more on tutorials, and I try to make it understandable, easy and simple. I don't just say what I'm doing, I usually say why. This is why we do this way instead of this other way. And I can tell you why I don't do air dry, and I don't do that primary method, and I don't do all washes. I simply don't have that much time to work on one doll that long. People take a month to finish one doll. I'm 68 years old. I don't have that much time left in my life that I need to make one doll every 2 or 3 months or something. But then I don't have another life. Some people, they work still, they have kids they're raising, they have to split their time. So, you know, I don't blame them for that, but it's a little, to me, not to them, because they see the logic in it. I just don't. I have what I call a very analytical mind. And all through my life, I was taught to find an easier way, find a different way. Take your own path. Don't be like other people. My mother was a firm believer in being your own person. One of her most famous sayings. Well, if they jump off a cliff, are you going to do it too? I bet you everybody's heard that one, but my mother used to say it all the time. But all my friends are doing that. Don't mean you have to do it. But there's the primary method. I'm just going to bring it out in the open and tell you. I think there's 2 different methods of the primary method. I'm not really sure how most people do it. Some people only put red, yellow, and blue on their dolls. That's it. And believe it or not, well, that's the dryer. And if I don't get up and stop it, it's going to beep every minute for about 5 times. But I'm at a crucial moment here on these lips, and I can't stop. Anyway, to me, the doll comes out looking only red. It's just very, very red. And it has a lot of modeling on it, very, very severe and just bold modeling, which I am not a fan of. It just looks like ringworm to me. I don't like it. Now, the few dolls I have modeled, I do it very subtly, and it becomes an undertone. It's not bold and out in the open. Some people just do modeling. I watched a lady make a whole doll, and she modeled every layer. It was all modeling. But the thing about it is, you couldn't tell on camera that she'd done anything at all to the doll. It was like, okay, I can't see that modeling, but I know it's there. And because there are some things you can't see. There's his lips. See, I'm gonna have to go and shut that thing up. Hold on. Much better. Now I'm going to do his nails too, and then he's going for his bake. I may give him a baby scratch, but it'll be after the next layer. After his bake and after he gets his next layer. And before he gets his next bake after that. In between. Oh, crap. I'm always getting out of the lines because I don't have steady hands. Oh. Baby scratches are fun. And they're easy. And I'll explain it to you as I'm doing it so that you can feel comfortable to do it on your doll. I was very nervous about doing it. The very first baby scratch one of my dolls got was an accident. What happened was, as I was painting the doll, and I had the red open, and I accidentally let the face touch the red. And when I turned the doll around, it had a red line on its face, and it looked just like a baby scratch, so I left it there. And I go, wow, I like that. I'm going to try to duplicate that on purpose. And so I set out to do it. My first couple didn't look that good because I didn't really know what needed to be done. And I did one by accident that looked perfect. So I started practicing baby scratches, and they're really, really quite easy. You just have to know what to do. I haven't done baby acne, and I don't want them milk spots. They look like white freckles to me. People just don't do them right. And they should just be bumpiness. I don't know. Not very many babies. I know some babies are born with baby acne, but it's not real common, I don't think. And I mean, I don't think it's attractive. I don't want to put it on my doll. Some people put every single thing a baby can have: a lip blister, baby acne, those little milk bumps, uh, scratches, birthmarks. They do it all, and to me that's too much. I just do one little. Usually it's a baby scratch. I don't usually do any of the others. And you put all that together with the modeling and the creasing and the primary method, and I don't know. Could you possibly get a freaky looking baby? I don't know. Usually most of them artists that show their videos don't show the entire thing. So you don't see the finished product. They just show how they're doing one thing. And they don't explain, which made me very nervous and upset. I paid to watch somebody's Patreon page of them making a doll. And I thought, well, I'll learn a lot from this person, and then I'll go back to making dolls on my own and incorporate some of their ideas into my dolls. But no, this woman did not explain her procedures and stuff. So I had no idea what she was doing or why she was doing it. In fact, she messed up right in the middle and didn't even say, oh, well, gee, I messed up. You know. Oh, that's that coffee pot. I heard a hissing sound. I didn't know what in the heck it was. It was the coffee pot. And she proceeded to fix the problem. And if you didn't make that mistake on your doll, then you're putting all those corrective layers on your doll when you're not supposed to need them. And I was very frustrated. I wasn't making a doll. I was just watching, thank goodness. Because if I was following along, I would have messed my doll up so bad. Because she didn't go, oh, gee, I made this mistake, and now I have to do this, this, and this to correct it. She didn't say that. She just proceeded to do it. She was almost silent, as a matter of fact, the whole time, just making the doll. Anyway, Canon has to get a bake now. And I'm going to ask everybody to please like, subscribe, and share. And happy reborning.